Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turn now in the Johnson edition to poem 685, Not Revelation 'Tis That Waits. Now, we said in our earlier discussion that there is a line that we love in regards to Emily's short poems. We'll go ahead and call this a poem. In poem 1063, ashes denote that fire was. And many of us love to use that little line to say, hey, just because it's two lines here does not mean that we're not going to be blown away by what we're looking at. Now, in many ways, right away, we're back to some prior knowledge and information. Let's just remind ourselves of some of the fun that we've already had. Do you guys remember when we did 416? And we commented that we might be here when we did that. 416, a murmur in the trees to note, not loud enough for wind, a star not far enough to seek, nor near enough to find, a long, long yellow on the lawn, a hubbub as of feet, not audible as ours to us, but drapier more sweet, a hurrying home of little men to houses unperceived. All this and more, if I should tell, would never be believed. Of robins in the trundle bed, how many I espy, concentrate on the word espy, to see, whose nightgowns could not hide the wings, although I heard them try. And then I promised ne'er to tell, how could I break my word? So go your way and I'll go mine. No fear, you'll miss the road. Do you guys remember when we did 526? And she said it this way. And again, each one of these, when we did these poems, we commented that we might be looking forward to this set of lines. She says it this way in 526. I hear an oriole sing, may be a common thing or only a divine. It is not of the bird who sings the same unheard as unto crowd. The fashion of the ear attireth that it hear in dun or fair. So whether it be room or whether it be none, is of within. The tune is in the tree, the skeptic showeth me. No, sir, in thee. In other words, our capacity to understand is not in something else. There is no beauty in a sunset. We determine that there's beauty in the sunset. You and your dog can look at the sunset, and only one of the two of you can appreciate it. Do you remember when we did 624? This was very recently, so some of you will enjoy coming back to this. You remember this? One of the most brilliant set of lines. Forever is composed of nows. 'Tis not a different time, except for infiniteness and latitude of home. From this experienced here, remove the dates to these. Let months dissolve in further months, and years exhale in years, without debate or pause, or celebrated days. No different our years would be from Anno Dominis. And finally, do you remember when we did very recently 685? 684, just now, when we looked at the two sets of lines and we said, no, this constitutes an actual poem. Now, there is some background information that we want to share with you to read this poem. Johnson, the scholar, will tell us that about April of 1863, in a letter to T.W. Higginson, this set of lines appeared. A copy now lost was sent to Sue, who did make the transcript. And the publishing of this the letter was first published, as we said in our previous lecture, in the Atlantic Monthly of October 1891, in an article in which Higginson wrote dealing with the letters and poems he had received from Emily Dickinson. Our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you worked through our set of introductory comments, as well as the preceding 684 poems. And as we said, we just finished with 684 Best Gains. Now, the scholar Priest has pointed out that this poem was included along with another set of lines. A later paragraph of this same letter to Higginson also includes poem 685. She writes, quote, I was thinking today as I noticed, this is Emily, I was thinking today as I noticed that the supernatural was only the natural disclosed. And then she'll quote the set of lines, not revelation 'tis that waits, but our unfurnished eyes. In other words, if only eyes were skillful enough, Priest says it this way, we would see the supernatural in the natural. And then what Priest does is goes to two scholars and poets that Emily would have known well. Blake, for example, will say, quote, and he'll say this in a Marriage of Heaven and Hell from 1793. This is that memorable fancy section, right? The power of contraries. He says it this way: if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite. And then as well, Priest takes us to Ierolli of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who writes, earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes, and the rest sit round and pick blackberries. Let's take a look now at the two lines and enjoy them. She says it this way: not revelation 'tis that waits, but our unfurnished eyes. Now, the first thing we want to point out is notice the quotation marks around revelation, okay? And in that regards, she's making some special point about revelation. Revelation, by the way, used in 11 of her poems. When she did it in 168, you'll maybe remember this one as well, just to go back. We had so much fun with it the first time. Let's just remind ourselves. If the foolish call them flowers, need the wiser tell. If the savants classify them, it's just as well. Those who read the revelations, but notice it's quotation marked around in 168, must not criticize those who read the same edition with beclouded eyes, right? Eyes that are direct. Could we stand with that old Moses Canaan denied, scan like him the stately landscape on the other side? Doubtless we should deem superfluous many sciences not pursued by learned angels in scholastic skies, exclamation point. Lo, amid that glad bell's letters, grant that we may stand stars amid profound galaxies at that grand right hand. So notice, it isn't revelation that waits. No, this idea, of course, reminds us of our study of Longfellow's Psalm of Life. Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any faith, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait, this idea of patience. If one can have enough patience, she says, unfurnished eyes. Now, I love that she uses the word our. This is why we call our series Chats with Emily. It's like she's including you guys into this conversation. She says, if we could just have the right kind of eyes, the right kind of insight. By the way, she'll use unfurnished in 855, and it will run like this when she says it. She says, to own the art within the soul to entertain, with silence as a company and festival maintain, is an unfurnished circumstance. Possession is to one as an estate perpetual or a reduceless mind. This idea of the unfurnished eyes. The question is, can we see properly? Of course, we call this perspicacity. Insight. Outside, I see you guys sitting there, of course. Insight, what's that? I roll my eyes in the back of my head and I see my brain? No. Insight, perspicacity, understanding. In other words, we understand things the longer that we work to try and understand them. I think at 2a, her argument is that miracles or the supernatural happen all the time. We just have to be able to see it. It's all about our sight. It's all about our capacity to see. I love it to be the fact that the quotation marks are kind of around revelation. Is there a blasphemous tone here at play? You get to decide it to be. At 3a, we mentioned Blake, we mentioned Browning as well. Of course, we have to mention Plato. I've said to you guys so much of what's going on for many of these poems. What's standing behind so many of these poems is her study of Plato and especially Republic. The idea of being able to see and understand things clearly. And think about, how many texts play that game of seeing and understanding the right kind of sight. All the Greek plays that we study, of course, play that game. Oedipus, of course, blinds himself at the moment that he finally sees. We've given full lectures of all of that at learnstrong.net. Finally, at 3b, to own a poem like this, when was a time that you had to wait to see? And in so doing, it blew your mind. Maybe some of you are saying, this Emily poetry, as I close in on 700, is kind of like that. I'm starting to see what game she's at. Thank you.